Karrion Kross and Scarlett Bordeaux no longer a part of World Wrestling Entertainment. On Sunday, August 10, 2025, the contracts of Karrion Kross and Scarlett Bordeaux reached their totality. Just an hour after being moved to the alumni section on WWE's roster page, Karrion Kross broke his silence. Karrion stating, and I quote, "I've been fucked. I expressed in January I wanted to stay and renegotiate. It's frustrating because I expressed my interest to be here and to do things, and many months went by and not a single conversation. Until recently, and I didn't even feel that conversation was a serious one. That conversation made me really angry. In fact, not angry. Actually, it profoundly disappointed me." Karrion went on to say, "I feel like there's people trying to fuck with this, and now I have a chip on my shoulder. Sometimes I am really lost and really confused on why we're not leaning into things that make sense, that clearly are working and are beneficial to all parties." Kross then opened up and got even more candid. "I feel like they don't want me to hit a home run, just a double, or just pass the ball even if you have a wide open three. And they get mad if I score. Why are you mad? Just because you wanted someone else to shoot it? They have to listen to the audience. You can't tell them they're part of a, quote, universe and then not listen to certain sectors. That pisses people off and it turns them away." Scarlett Bordeaux has broken her silence. In a lengthy statement, Scarlett says, "My time in WWE has been an incredible ride, and I can truly say it's been the best locker room I've ever been a part of. These people aren't just co-workers, they're family. I love you all, and I'll deeply miss seeing you every week. To the fans, you've never just been a crowd. You've been our partners in every fight and the reason we give everything for this. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. The next chapter starts now, and I'm ready to bring something unforgettable to any stage, anywhere in the world. If you want the smoke show on your show, let's make it happen." Booking and appearances were then posted. So Scarlett and Karrion Kross are officially accepting bookings again on Sunday, August 10th, the contract coming to its totality. So now, of course, the question will arise. How can World Wrestling Entertainment, Nick Khan, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, watch Karrion Kross and Scarlett Bordeaux just leave the company right when they were starting to build a huge organic following? To which the answer is pretty simplistic. Have you seen the way Hunter Hearst Helmsley conducts business day to day? This is status quo, business as usual for Paul Levesque McMahon. It is clear when people like Karrion Kross or an LA Knight or an R-Truth get over organically, they will not put the stamp of approval on you. They will take out the golden shovel and bury you. And speaking of R-Truth, Karrion Kross told a story about how Truth and he were having a conversation on the way back from Saudi. And R-Truth told Karrion, "They haven't put any titles on you, but the one title that you do have that they can never take from you is the title that the fans bestowed upon you. The title of the people." That shows you that R-Truth knows what's up. Thanks to Nick Khan, Hunter Hearst Helmsley was forced to bring R-Truth back, so you knew Helmsley was going to be pissed because he's the one that's going to look like an idiot in all of this. So he stands to gain the most if R-Truth's return is a complete flop, well, who's the dude with the magic pen that can make sure that happens? Hunter Hearst Helmsley, Paul Levesque McMahon. And sure enough, you see how R-Truth was booked upon his return. He's thrown in between a John Cena CM Punk program to regurgitate some John Cena nonsense, being the third wheel. Then he's told to sit at catering. Then he's left off of SummerSlam, even though they added a second night to SummerSlam. And the dude that was one of the most over pro wrestlers just 2 months ago can't even get on the card. Same card as LA Knight couldn't get on. And Karrion only got on it because he had to do another job to Sammy before they kicked Kross to the curb. And then R-Truth appears finally. Finally, R-Truth is back on TV Friday night in another backstage 10-second clip. Doing comedy with John Cena. We're right back to the old R-Truth that WWE already told you they don't want. So let's book him the same exact way after not using him for weeks upon his return. When you are set up to fail, don't be shocked when they fail. But don't forget, don't just look at the dude that flopped and go, oh, you didn't make it, kid. Look at the company and go, did you give them a chance? Karrion Kross for months has been walking around backstage while the whole crowd is chanting, "We want Kross," organically. Dude's not even on the show. He's not in the ring. Outside, they're chanting, "We want Kross." Lines around the building for autographs. Organically getting over. So what does Helmsley do? We'll keep you backstage. We'll keep you completely off the show in catering, not even a backstage segment. And then every few weeks, we'll put you in a backstage segment. You'll tell Sami Zayn that he'll never win the championship. You're never going to win the championship, Sami. And then we'll put you in a couple of matches with Sami so you can look up at the lights. We will not bother to protect you in defeat. We won't make you look good in defeat. You're just going to look up at the lights. One haluva kick. Look up at the lights. Roll out of the ring and let Sami celebrate. And then a few days later, when your contract expires, good luck on your future endeavors. When you set people up to fail, well, obviously, they're going to fail. But what happens when they find a way around your bullshit and somehow they succeed? What happens when they tell you, hey, you don't want me hitting the home run, you want me just hitting the double, but what if I give a little bit of oomph and I actually hit that home run? You gonna be pissed off that one of your wrestlers is actually doing good? One of your wrestlers is getting over, so it's beneficial for all of us? You're gonna get pissed off because I'm succeeding? What happens when it works? What happens when LA Knight breaks through the bullshit and the fans actually cheer? What happens when fans say, no, you bring R-Truth back because we give a damn? What happens when people say, we want Kross? That's when you're forced to realize, WWE, Hunter Helmsley, you don't want Kross. Tough shit. The people do. So it's a bigger issue right now for WWE. This isn't just if you're a Kross fan or if you're not. This is deeper than that. It's everybody that should at least get the chance. The crowd is telling you, we see something in these individuals. Can you give them the proper push so we can see more? It's like when we said for 5 years that Roman, babyface, shoved down your throat Roman Reigns, needs to turn heel. Not because we don't like the dude. We see potential. But he's got to turn heel to tap it. He's got to know it himself that it's within him. And you can only do that when he turns heel. That's what needed to happen for Roman. Never mind us. When they chanted all of that to The Rock, Rocky Maivia, it's because we saw something in that dude, but it certainly wasn't Rocky Maivia. We needed a different change in course, and sure enough, The Rock was formulated. We knew there was something in that Steve Austin guy, but stunning probably wasn't it. Stone Cold? More of that. So we say more LA Knight. We got to see more. You got to push him. You got to put him in these spots. Let him have that briefcase. And when his music plays and he goes to cash in, listen to the roof pop off. But LA Knight can't get those moments. R-Truth, there's something more to Truth. It can't just be the comedy. Give him another chance. Let's see him in X, Y, and Z. No, how about we bring him back because I was told to by Nick, and then I'm going to put him in catering. And then when you're all done with the R-Truth BS, I'm going to give him his comedy back. They don't listen. Karrion Kross. We want Kross for months. And what do? They have this guy walking around backstage telling Sami Zayn he'll never win the championship. All of this was to put Sami Zayn up on a pedestal. Nobody cares. Sami Zayn is a mid-carder. Get over it. We've seen the best out of this dude. He was part of the bloodline. Wow, Sami. He's had 1,000 matches with Kevin Owens. Yay. He's had the match with Jackass. That's right, all of the crew from Jackass. What a match, Sami. The big giant mouse trap. That's awesome. And when the wrestling thing is done at night, get a few hours of sleep and go to your Home Depot shit for your 9 to 5. Because that's where you find Sami Zayn, stocking the paints. Or maybe it's a weekend and Sami Zayn's in the gardening section. Sami Zayn is a mid-carder. We all know what Sami Zayn can do. We've all seen Sami Zayn in the big matches. He doesn't move the needle. That's just the truth. If one day he can break through that ceiling and make us give a damn, awesome. But right now, we are telling you there's others that we need to see more from. You have to put them in different situations. Here's a wild concept. Give them the damn ball. Because if this company truly believes that the majority of the audience wants to see Sami Zayn win the world title, Sami Zayn winning the world title just so we can have a Rocky moment like we just had at WrestleMania when Jason Yeaterman was tapping out Gunther to his own move. Gunther tapping out in 8 seconds to his own move. From Jason Yeaterman, who hasn't seen a gym since 1961. But he's got enough strength to knock people out with spears. And choke him out with the Gunther chokes. Yeah, you see, Helmsley didn't hesitate to put that championship on Jason Yeaterman because that was his big idea. Jey Uso is somebody that can look at Hunter Hearst Helmsley and buy into the BS. And don't forget, it was Helmsley that said he really created the yeet. He saw him do something kind of funky in the corner, he said, and he said, do more of that. And when all the kids started doing it, Helmsley's ego really busted out. Because Helmsley's like, I did that. I created the yeet. So when you know a John Cena or a CM Punk, or here's a wild concept, LA Knight has to win the Royal Rumble. Instead, Helmsley pulls over Jey Uso, the tag team guy, and says, hey kid, I'm going to put the rocket on ya. Nobody was asking for the rocket on Jey Uso. Nobody. You want to give him good booking? Put him in the mid-card and let him soar. Nobody was clamoring for Jey Uso as a world champ. You do not go Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage, Ultimate Warrior, Undertaker, Steve Austin, The Rock, John Cena, Roman Reigns, Jason Uso. You don't do it. And sure enough, after just 2 weeks, his own father was saying he's exhausted. On the show Unreal, behind the scenes, Helmsley and Bruce Pritchard and the writers were highly concerned because he couldn't handle the pressure. He couldn't even make it over the top rope. They were having discussions backstage of taking the opportunity away from Jey Uso because he just couldn't handle it. We called it from the jump. Of course he couldn't handle it. Some people are destined for one certain sector. That's okay. Know what you are. He's a tag team guy. It's just what he is. You throw Jimmy back with him, and now you have double the yeet. Everybody wins. The kids get to yeet, they get over and sell merchandise, and actual heavyweights or actual world champions, they get to actually be world champions. What a concept! Larger than life characters in storylines we care about. That's what we want. We don't want more yeeting. We don't want the guy that works Home Depot 9 to 5 or the guy that looks like he works Home Depot 9 to 5 and Sami Zayn. We don't need to throw world heavyweight titles on these people. If you want to give them mid-card titles, have at it. Meanwhile, the dudes that have the potential to be larger than life, the characters jump off the page like Karrion Kross, we stifle them. In Karrion Kross's own words, his own words, I feel like there's people trying to fuck with this. Now I have a chip on my shoulder. Sometimes I am really lost and really confused on why we're not leaning into things that make sense, that clearly are working and are beneficial to all parties. That was Karrion Kross's words himself. He goes on to say, I feel like they don't want me to hit a home run, just a double, or just pass the ball even if I have a wide open 3. And they get mad if I score. Why? Just because you wanted someone else to shoot it? That's Karrion Kross's words. He's been backstage in WWE for years. He's telling you right now. He's telling you how it is back there. He's telling you they don't want you to succeed if they feel you're not supposed to. How sad is that? It's still a game of picking favorites, and if somehow you get over, you are going to go under. They're going to crush you. They're going to make you irrelevant, lose a bunch of matches, take your name value, sit you at catering to you are literally in obscurity, and then kick you to the curb. Now, for those that think maybe it's a work, right? That's another, it's a work, BC. It's got to be a work. Who's getting worked? If they're booking to kids anyway, if the booking for Karrion Kross is just put over Sami Zayn, that's what it's been for months. Karrion's booking has been put over Sami Zayn. Karrion's booking hasn't been against the authority, right? He hasn't had any real beef with Nick Aldis or Adam Pearce. So who's being worked? They don't book for online, obviously. They don't book for an IWC or a YWC or for reporters or journalists. It's clear they're booking for the kids these days. Look at Alexa and Charlie's friendship story. I put that in quotes, their little program. It's a Sesame Street story. Right out of Sesame Street. It's clearly to make the kids cheer for Charlie. Jason Yeaterman. It's a regular old Chuck E. Cheese party every time Yeaterman comes out, and all the kids get to yeet, and he picks them up, and he pats them on the head, and he dances with them. It's booking for kids. So what? This is all a work for Karrion to come back and be upset with the establishment? Then wouldn't you have started that while he was supposedly still under contract, so at least there's a seamless kind of transition? So even the fans that are not part of the online crowd, they could understand it more? So that's why this is not a work at all, or if it is, it's one of the dumbest works of all time, because they're working themselves. It would make no sense. Not to mention, we just said that about R-Truth when people thought that was a work. Oh, it's just a work. He's going to come back and he's going to start fighting authority. How did that work out? It ended up being all too real. And even when they should have probably made a little bit of that a work, they didn't. They kept Truth at catering. Truth wasn't fighting any authority figures. I know as pro wrestling fans and in the pro wrestling world, part of the fun of it is always thinking something is a work, but it's clear that this company doesn't know how to do a proper work. And even though we think everything is a work, usually it's not, right? John Cena turned face out of nowhere last Friday, right before SummerSlam. Everybody was like, it's got to be a work. There's no way he just turned face out of nowhere. Right before SummerSlam. BC, I'm telling you, this is a work, man. Well, what happened? SummerSlam went on the air, went off the air. No, it wasn't a work. John Cena is a full all-out face now. Probably the face of the company. Sorry, not sorry, Cody Rhodes. You got stomped on. John Cena is the ace again. But I thought that was a work. Trust me, he's going to go full-blown heel. Right? The Rock is going to come out of nowhere. It's all a plan. It's a work, BC. No, you didn't get The Rock either, did you? You got Brock Lesnar. So then everybody goes into work. Oh, we all got worked, man. Brock out of nowhere. Who got worked? Nobody was asking for Brock. On top of that, it doesn't even make sense because there's no story with Brock and Cena. They did that same thing back in 2012, 13 years ago. The Raw after Mania. Lesnar's music hits. He comes to the ring, says nothing. F5's John Cena. We go off the air. 13 years later, we get the same thing, and there's no continuation. Monday Night Raw, no word of it. Michael Cole just looks at the camera and says the reason Brock is back is because Nick Khan and Hunter Hearst Helmsley asked him to come back, and he said, okay. Michael Cole literally just blew up any chance of a fun storyline by just admitting what happened. They called Brock, said come to work. He said, okay. And then Friday, when John Cena's in the middle of the ring, that was the chance, right? That was the chance. John Cena's going to address Brock Lesnar was the big headline. You know all he said? He said, Brock Lesnar, if you want some, come get some. That's all he mentioned about Brock Lesnar. Moments later, Logan Paul comes to the ring, and guess what? We have a Logan Paul John Cena program. And what are you going to say? BC, Brock's going to come back and attack John again, maybe at Clash in Paris, maybe the SmackDown after Paris. And that excites you? We're just going to watch Brock Lesnar just come to the ring once a month and attack John Cena until they finally have another match, their 18th? I mean, that might have been fine 13 years ago when we were first seeing it. And even before that, actually, when ruthless aggression was just beginning. But when Brock really first came back to WWE back in 2012, we saw this. Now we're seeing it again, but for no reason other than they needed a shock moment for SummerSlam because Helmsley realized he didn't put any effort into SummerSlam. It was going to suck just like WrestleMania sucked. So they needed Brock Lesnar. And they never had a real story afterwards. Other than eventually, John will take on Brock. So no, that wasn't a work. Nobody got worked. That wasn't a shock and awe surprise. It was a dumbass move from a dumbass company headlined by dumbass people. What are you going to say? Seth Rollins' cash-in was a work? Who got worked? Do you remember how that all unfolded? Seth Rollins got BFT'd. He was knocked out and pinned 1, 2, 3 looking up at the lights. He took that loss and he got knocked out just so a couple weeks later he could cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase. Makes no sense. He has the briefcase. Braun Breaker could run the champion over in the parking lot. Bronson Reed could drag his ass to the ring and Rollins could cash in, not having to do anything. He has the briefcase and a whole posse. But he got himself knocked out and lost a match to cash in? Doesn't make any sense. No, what I believe happened is Seth Rollins was banged up. They had to take him off the road so that he could compete at SummerSlam and beyond. So they took him off the road. And when he came back, they said, let's just use it as we swerved you. Y'all got worked. It was all part of the plan. And they never stopped and thought, well, it doesn't make sense if that was part of the plan. But that's WWE. They don't think anything through. So this brings us full circle back to Karrion Kross. For those saying it's a work, how can this be a work? Why would it be a work if it doesn't make any sense? Nothing was set up to lead into this supposed work. Nothing. He lost to Sami Zayn a couple of times. And what? All of a sudden he comes back pissed off at the establishment? Again, I'm okay if you want to try to work that in somehow. But don't try to play it off like it was a work all along. I truly believe that contract has reached its climax. Scarlett Bordeaux is telling you they're already accepting bookings. Karrion Kross, when he broke his silence earlier, I mean, he's coming at WWE pretty deep. He's telling you how it's ran backstage. He is telling you straight out that people are holding individuals down. If they don't want you soaring, they're going to clip your wings. He's telling you that. He's saying he feels like he's being screwed with backstage from people that don't want him succeeding. He told a story. He told a story about merchandise and finding out from fans that he had broke the top 10 in merchandise and eventually top 5 for 4 days as well, by the way. But he found out from fans the company didn't have the decency to tell him. And then when he wanted to find out more, he contacted the company. He was just like, yeah, I was just curious because I'm hearing that I'm doing pretty good in merch. Can you tell me some of the latest numbers? And do you know what he was told? We don't know. We don't know. Karrion was pissed. Karrion said, this is a quote, Karrion said, how do you not know? And he said, that's when I really started to think, are they in this for my best interest? A dude that actually wants to be there. A dude that actually wants to help the business, help the product, help the company. And they don't care. In fact, the fact that he is over organically is going to be a detriment like LA Knight, R-Truth, and so many others. It is going to be a detriment because they're not handpicked by Schnoz McGee. Unless he pulls you aside and says, I'm gonna put the rocket on you, kid. Unless he says he's going to put the rocket on you, doesn't matter how over you get, how much the fans want to see you in top spots. If the company ain't picking you, you ain't getting shit. And I'll give you some more of what Karrion Kross said too, because when I say this dude broke his silence, he spoke his truth. He did not go out and just bash WWE, mind you, but he spoke his truth. And he talked about admitting there were too many times he was told they were heading in one direction and it would just switch up or fall flat out of nowhere. And he was like, oh no, this isn't going to be good for the viewer. Even then, when it's his career that's being stifled, when it was he that was getting bullshitted and lied to, he was thinking about the viewer. Imagine working at a place and having no idea what you're doing every day. Not through your incompetence, but the people you work for and their incompetence. Karrion Kross says, and I quote, I don't feel like we're collectively going in the direction the audience would like, and that doesn't feel good to me. I don't feel like we're collectively going in the direction the audience would like, and that doesn't feel good. As a performer, that's how you should feel. As a performer, you want to give your best, and you want to do your best for the viewer. You want to put on the best possible product and give the audience what they came for. Why is he seeing this, but his boss, Schnoz McGee, doesn't give a shit? Instead, Schnoz is saying things like, if you don't like it, just don't watch it. And if you don't like it, you're not a real fan, or if you don't like it, you can fuck off. By the way, those are all quotes. That's all things that Helmsley has said in just recent months. If you don't like it, you're not a real fan. If you don't like it, you can fuck off. And meanwhile, Karrion Kross, a talent, just a talent. He's like, no, why don't we just give the audience what they actually want? Like, let's lead in the direction that can actually be beneficial for everybody. The talent, the company, the fans, everybody wins. Only in WWE can the talent be more mature than the bosses. Think more clearly, have more common sense, use more logic than the company itself. So I know the dialogue going forward will be, is it a work or is it not? You have to believe they cannot botch this. This is totally different than the R-Truth scenario, but I do believe there's going to be massive backlash. But in a whole different way. But I can't believe that would be it for them and WWE. They have to ask themselves, is that a place they would even want to be? But Karrion has said 100 times in breaking his silence, he does. He truly wants to be there. He just can't stand how it is right now. And many of us can't. Lots of talents don't like this Hunter Hearst Helmsley regime. And so many, too many fans are fed up with this Hunter Hearst Helmsley regime. And should he come back with Scarlett, what do? You try to turn this into an actual work? Does he fight authority? Does he go out there and cut a promo about how he's being held down? And even if that scenario played out, how long before you think Helmsley will go look at his watch and be like, give it a week, maybe 2 weeks. Then I'll put him in catering for a month. I'll have him job out a couple matches, leave him off the next 2 pay-per-views, and by then, nobody will care about Karrion Kross. What? We brought him back? We had a little story right when he came back about fighting the Authority, remember? Dude, you set him up for failure again, dumbass. So no matter what, should he come back? No matter what they do from the jump, will they stay consistent and really give this dude the ball? Because everything that Hunter Hearst Helmsley does, and everything he's done, and everything it looks like he's going to do, screams Karrion is screwed. And that's going to be WWE for the foreseeable future until Hunter Hearst Helmsley is the one being relieved of his duties. It's Helmsley that is being kicked to the curb. It is Helmsley that we are wishing the best in all future endeavors. Until then, whatever is next for Karrion Kross and Scarlett Bordeaux, on behalf of BC and the unit, we'll be checking it out. We'll be supporting. Rock on, stay amplified, and until next time, and there will be that next time, BC and the unit saying check you.